Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Before we begin today's quiz, an important announcement. Byju's IAS is coming up with an extremely important workshop specifically for all those who are preparing for the civil service exam in the year 2023. The workshop will be taken by our well-known faculty Rohit sir. It would be on the 19th of December at 11 a.m. The link to register for the workshop is given in the description of the video. Now let's begin the quiz with question number 1 on your screen. The famous Sri Ramna Kali temple is in which of the following nations? Is it Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, or Cambodia? The correct answer here is C, Bangladesh. The reason why this temple is in the news is because India's president Sri Ramnath Kovind, who is in Bangladesh right now, will inaugurate the renovated version of this temple, which was completely destroyed by the Pakistani forces during the 1971 war as a part of their Operation Searchlight. As you would know, the Operation Searchlight was a code name of a military operation carried out by the Pakistani army to curb the Bengali nationalist movement in Bangladesh, that was East Pakistan at that time. The operation began in March 1971 and led to the killing of thousands of people in East Pakistan and destruction of property worth crores of rupees. The president has visited Bangladesh to commemorate 50 years of the country's independence after the 1971 war. The renovation and conservation of this historic temple has been supported by the Indian government in the past few months. Moving on to question number 2. Consider the following traditions and choose the ones which have been recognized by UNESCO as part of India's intangible cultural heritage. Yoga, Kumbh Mela, the tradition of Vedic chanting, Navroz, and Durga Puja. The correct answer here is D, since all of these traditions have been recognized by UNESCO as a part of India's intangible cultural heritage. The tradition of Vedic chanting was the first one to be given this particular tag, and the reason why we are asking this question is because now Durga Puja tradition has also been considered as a part of India's intangible cultural heritage. Some of the other Indian traditions that are in this list include the Ram Leela, Chhau dance, the Kalbelia folk dance and song of Rajasthan, Buddhist chanting of Ladakh, and Raman, which is a religious festival and ritual theatre of Garhwal Himalayas. This list was established in the year 2008, and in the very first year, the tradition of Vedic chanting, Ram Leela, and Kutiyattam, that is Sanskrit theatre from India, was given this particular tag. Next, question number 3. Rustam 2, developed by DRDO, is number 1, a hypersonic missile system, number 2, an unmanned aerial vehicle or drone, third, a tank suitable for high altitude warfare, or fourth, a sonar system for identifying underwater mineral nodules. Which of these correctly defines Rustam 2? The correct answer here is B. The Rustam 2 is a drone developed by the DRDO, which was first tested in October 2020. It is mainly a surveillance drone and has been developed to match the specifications of the Israeli drone, that is Heron. Of late, nations across the world have been deploying drones for their surveillance activities, and India has also unfortunately faced certain attacks with the usage of drones. That is why the defense minister has directed a DRDO to give a push to its ongoing trials of drones and increase their range. In the recent trials, the DRDO achieved a milestone of 25,000 feet altitude and 10 hours of endurance. Once the DRDO achieves an altitude of 30,000 feet and 18 hours of endurance, the drone will be handed over to the services for its usage. The article also tells you about Rustam 2 that was successfully tested last year for flying for 8 hours at an altitude of 16,000 feet. Apart from that, the DRDO is also working on a firefighting suit which weighs about 2.8 kg and is an ensemble of several layers, with the outer layer being the most durable and gives protection against heat, flames, water, and chemicals. Next, question number 4. Which of these schemes is or are correctly matched with the states where they are operating? The Sahai scheme, Chhattisgarh, Kalia scheme, Odisha, and Saras Suraksha Kavach, Rajasthan. The correct answer here is B. 2 and 3 are correctly matched. While the first scheme, Sahai, is not in Chhattisgarh, it has recently been launched in Jharkhand. And that is precisely why we are asking this particular question. The Jharkhand CM, that is Hemant Soren, recently launched this scheme mainly to encourage youth to take up sports in the Maoist hit areas. Under this scheme, boys and girls from 14 to 18 years of age from villages to ward levels will be registered and given the opportunity to display their skills in sports such as volleyball, basketball, hockey, and athletics. They will also be encouraged with cash prize and money to buy the sports kits. The Kalia scheme in Odisha stands for Krushak Assistance for Livelihood and Income Augmentation. This is a scheme which aims to accelerate agricultural prosperity and reduce poverty in this state. It is also a scheme which would include farm loan waivers to the farmers. On the other hand, the Saras Suraksha Kavach Yojana is an insurance scheme which provides a cover of rupees 5 lakh to the dairy farmers in Rajasthan in case of death of their cattle. There is a very minimal premium under this scheme, that is, women and SC/ST beneficiaries under this scheme of Rajasthan government would only have to pay a premium of rupees 20.25, while farmers of general category will have to pay a premium of 24 rupees 30 paisa under this scheme. Next is a previous year question from 2019. Which one of the following suggested that the governor should be an eminent person from outside the state and should be a detached figure without intense political links or should not have taken part in politics in the recent past? Is it the first ARC, Raj Mannar Committee, the Sarkaria Commission, or the National Commission to review the working of the Constitution? The correct answer here is the Sarkaria Commission of 1983. As you know, this was a commission that was formed mainly for improving relationship between the center and the state governments. It was made at a time when the Congress party at the center was seen as an adversary by almost every other political party around the country. The Sarkaria Commission, in its long report, talked about the post of the governor and suggested the following things: that the governor should be an eminent person, he should be from outside the state, he must not have participated in active politics for some time before the appointment, he should be a detached person, and the appointment should be in consultation with the CM of the state, the Vice President, and the Lok Sabha Speaker. Do remember, these are just recommendations, although most of these are kept in mind while appointing the governor of a certain state. But if the government decides to neglect these recommendations, there is nothing that we can do against them. Next, we have a fact of the day, and today we will be discussing about India's defense exports. Usually, whenever we talk about India's defense sector, we talk about the import part. However, in the past few years, India has tried hard to export a lot of military equipment that is built in India. As per the article, India's defense export has increased from 1,521 crores to 8,434 crores in the past 5 years. Although this is a drop from the last year's exports, but we have to understand that due to the pandemic, the international trade suffered in all the sectors. The government has set up a target of achieving exports worth 35,000 crore rupees in aerospace and defense goods by 2025. As per a latest report published by SIPRI, there are 3 Indian companies that are in the list of top 100 defense companies in 2020. These include the HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, the Ordnance Factory Board, and Bharat Electronics Limited. Most of India's export comprises of missile systems, light combat helicopters, multi-purpose light transport aircraft, warships, patrol vessels, tanks, radars, etc. In February this year, the Prime Minister had said that India is now exporting to over 40 nations and we have to emerge as a global exporter of weapon systems. Vietnam is procuring 12 fast track crafts under a $100 million credit line that India is giving to Vietnam. Vietnam has also shown interest in buying Akash air to surface missiles and advanced light helicopters from India. HAL has also been trying to highlight the capabilities of Tejas light combat aircraft to many Southeast Asian nations and West Asian nations who can't afford expensive weapons from nations such as US, Russia, or France. This jump in the total export is a result of government's policies in the past few years. Since 2014, a lot of reforms have been seen in the defense sector. For example, the government has ensured simplified defense industrial licensing. Grant of no objection certificate has also been made much easier. The external ministry has been offering lines of credit to countries who want to import defense products from India. Another aim that we are trying to achieve is to ensure that most of our own defense requirement is procured from the domestic industry rather than exporting it from outside. The defense minister has said that for the year 2021-22, about 63% of the capital outlay will be done from domestic defense industry only. This is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching.